What do you think we'll learn today? How about some question words? Who will teach you? The Spanish Doctor. Hola amigos, and welcome back to the Spanish Doctor, here to cure all your Spanish ills. Make sure to listen to the dialogue, read down below, pause, repeat after me. English lesson after the dialogue. Hola, soy Ricardo. Soy profesor de español. ¿Qué haces tú? ¿Cuál es tu profesión? ¿Cuándo estudias español? ¿Estudias todos los días? ¿Por qué estudias español? Yo enseño español porque me gusta compartir mi cultura. Yo tengo una familia grande. Tengo más de 50 primos. ¿Cuántos primos tienes tú? ¿Cuántos son hombres? ¿Y cuántas son mujeres? Mi familia es muy importante para mí. ¿Quiénes son algunas personas importantes para ti? Una persona que admiro es Jorge Drexler. Jorge es un músico uruguayo muy talentoso. ¿A quién admiras tú? ¿De dónde es? ¿Cómo se llama? Tengo hambre. Tengo ganas de comer unos tacos. ¿A dónde vas cuando tienes hambre? ¿Qué comes? ¿Comes solo o sola? ¿Con quién comes? Hoy es un día especial. ¿Qué haces en los días especiales? ¿Cuál es un día especial para ti? Let's start off by going over the question words one by one. ¿Cuándo? This is one of the easier question words. ¿Cuándo estudias? When do you study? Notice that we just put it at the beginning of a sentence. ¿Cuándo miras Game of Thrones? ¿Cuánto? ¿Cuántos? ¿Cuánta? ¿Cuántas? Don't confuse cuánto and its different forms with cuándo. Cuánto means how much. Depending on the noun you are pairing cuánto with, or the noun that you are thinking of, that will determine whether you use O, A, OS, or AS at the end of cuánto. ¿Cuántos libros tienes? ¿Cuántas amigas tienes? In my dialogue, I asked you about your primos, cousins. ¿Cuántos son hombres? ¿Y cuántas son mujeres? I didn't use a noun after the different forms of cuánto. Why? Because I was thinking of primos. If you know the topic and I know the topic, we can drop a word like that. ¿Dónde? Where? ¿Dónde vives? Now, notice that for all these questions, we're not going to have something that translates as do, did. In Spanish, we don't need to use an extra word as English does. If I say ¿Dónde vives?, that means where do you live? Don't try to add a do in there or something that translates as do, because we don't need that. ¿Dónde trabajas? Where do you work? ¿A dónde? Where? Where to? There's a verb that we haven't gone over yet in my video series. It's ir. Ir means to go. Yo is irregular. Yo voy. The other endings of ir in the present indicative make it look like an AR verb. Yo voy. Tú vas. Él va. Nosotros vamos. Vosotros vais. Ustedes van. Very often, ir is followed by a to indicate where or where to one will go. Voy a la tienda. I'm going to the store. So when we ask where and we're asking about ir, we have to use a. And in Spanish, we don't put these types of prepositions at the end of a sentence. Donde vas a is not possible. A donde vas. That's the only way to say it. A donde vas, you can translate that as where are you going, or where are you going to. It doesn't, in English we don't have to put a to at the end, but in Spanish you have to have a accompany something like ir. ¿Quién? ¿Quiénes? Who? Singular and plural. So what do I mean about singular and plural with who? Well, it doesn't work that way in English, does it? ¿Quién es tu amigo? Who is your friend? ¿Quiénes son tus hermanos? Who are your siblings? If I know that I'll be talking about plural people, then I will go ahead and say ¿quiénes? I don't think you have just one sibling, perhaps. Maybe I think you have more than one. ¿Quiénes son tus hermanos? You definitely have more than one biological parent. ¿Quiénes son tus padres? Maybe I don't know if the answer will be a singular or plural individual or individuals. So I might say, ¿Quién está en la casa? Who is in the house? And you say, José y María están en la casa. You're talking about two people being in the house. I didn't expect that. Maybe I thought there might be just one person. If I suspect that there are multiple people in the house, then sure, I could say, ¿Quiénes están en la casa? And I still might be wrong. You might say, José está en la casa. Definitely you know that there's going to be a plural response. Then go ahead and use ¿Quiénes? Otherwise, you're fine just using ¿Quién? ¿A quién? ¿Con quién? ¿De quién? ¿Para quién? Earlier I said that we don't use prepositions such as a, con, de, para at the end of a sentence. When we match them up with quién, they actually have to come before quién. ¿A quién? To whom? ¿Con quién? With whom? ¿De quién? From whom? ¿Para quién? For whom? Let me try to explain whom as simply as possible by saying who it isn't. Whom is not the subject of the sentence. For whom did you buy the gift? Who bought the gift? Was it the person that is whom, or was it you? it was you. For whom did you buy the gift? So in Spanish, if we have quién that comes after a preposition, that is like whom in English. ¿A quién visitas los fines de semana? Whom do you visit on the weekends? So who is doing the visiting? You are. ¿A quién visitas? ¿Con quién vas a la fiesta? With whom do you go to the party? I don't know about the individual that accompanies you, but I know that you go to the party. ¿De quién recibes mensajes de texto? I know that you receive text messages, but from whom? ¿Para quién es el pastel? There's a cake on the table. I know it's not for me. For whom is the cake? ¿Para quién es el pastel? You may have heard that in English, we shouldn't end a sentence with a preposition. It's a lie. You can certainly do it. That rule came from people trying to make English more like Latin. In Latin and in Spanish, you don't put prepositions such as a, con, de, para at the end of a sentence. So that makes sense in Latin, that makes sense in Spanish, but that's not something that we have to do in English. So, ¿con quién vas a la fiesta? In English, you could say, with whom do you go to the party? But most people will say, who are you going to go to the party with? We'll go ahead and put that preposition at the end. With. In Spanish, you cannot do that. ¿Con quién vas a la fiesta? ¿Qué? ¿Cuál? ¿Cuáles? What? Which? I'm presenting que and cuál together because they are very often confused by speakers of English. Que asks for general information, an explanation, or a definition. ¿Qué es la biodiversidad? I'm asking you to define that, give me some basic information on the topic. Maybe I just need you to name an item. ¿Qué tienes en la cabeza? Maybe I'm looking at you and you're wearing something on your head that's maybe a hat, but not quite a hat. I'm not sure what it is. ¿Qué tienes en la cabeza? With cuál, I'm asking for more specific information. If I see that you and your friend are not getting along, I might ask you, ¿cuál es el problema? What is the problem? I'm not asking you to break out your dictionary or look up a word in your app to tell me what problema means. I'm asking you to describe the situation that you find yourself in. So I want more specific information. With cuál, we also have a limited set of possibilities. Let's talk about a Mexican restaurant that serves a variety of dishes, and I might ask you, ¿qué quieres comer? When I'm showing you the menu, we see that they have tacos, burritos, tamales, huaraches, enchiladas. ¿Qué quieres comer? You see the different items available and you choose tacos. Then I'll say, ¿cuál quieres comer? Or I'm sure you'll have more than one, so I'll say, ¿cuáles quieres comer? If we're just looking at tacos and we know that they have tacos de carne asada, tacos de carnitas, tacos de buche, tacos de al pastor. We are looking at just tacos, and from that limited set of options, the tacos, I'm asking you to pick one. When we have a wider set and they are different items, tacos versus burritos versus huaraches versus enchiladas, etc., then I would say, ¿qué quieres comer? Once we narrow it down to tacos, ¿cuál quieres comer? O ¿cuáles quieres comer? In many Spanish texts, you will learn that you use que with a noun. ¿Qué ropa usas para una fiesta? This may be true in textbooks. This may be true in Spain. I'm not sure if it's 100% true. But you will see that this rule is often broken by native speakers of Spanish, especially in Latin America, I believe. But there could be some people in Spain that don't follow this rule 100%. ¿Cómo? How? What? This word is a little tricky because many times when we would use como in Spanish, in English, we would use what? ¿Cómo te llamas? We translate that as what is your name? More literally, however, we are saying something like, how are you called? ¿Cómo es tu hermana? How is your sister? Or what is your sister like? When I'm asking this question, I want to know about her personality. I want to know about her looks, her height, what makes her laugh, what makes her sad, what is she like, or how is she? En español, ¿cómo es tu hermana? But in English, it might make more sense to say, what is your sister like, rather than how is your sister? If you use that translation, how is your sister, you might think that I'm wondering about her health. Okay, I'm not wondering about that. So, como, watch out for it. It can be translated as how or what, but sometimes we use what just for convenience so that we can get the true gist of what somebody is asking. ¿Por qué? Why? ¿Por qué estudias español? ¿Por qué no comes carne? ¿Por qué is not a difficult word to use. However, don't confuse it with porque, which means because. Notice that porque is one word versus the two words of por qué. Finally, I'd like to point out that every word I've used as a question word in today's lesson can also be used without accents. When we are asking about something we don't know the answer to, we will use an accent when we're writing that question. When we know the answer, we don't use an accent. When we do not have a question, we don't use an accent. For example, ¿Dónde trabajas? Where do you work? If I'm talking about the place where I work, and I know where I work, es la escuela donde trabajo. It's the school where I work. Notice that I don't put an accent there. If I ask you, when are you hungry? ¿Cuándo tienes hambre? Then cuando has an accent. But if I ask you what you eat when you're hungry, ¿qué comes cuando tienes hambre? What do you eat when you're hungry? I'm not asking when are you hungry, as in I don't know the time. I'm asking you when, as in whenever, anytime that you're hungry, what do you eat? ¿Qué comes cuando tienes hambre? Bueno amigos, muchas gracias and thank you for joining me in another episode of The Spanish Doctor. Ask me a question down below en español. Suscríbete, échame un me gusta y nos vemos. Adiós.